Hola, ¿qué tal, mis amigos? Bienvenidos a mi canal Spanish World, en donde aprendemos español. Welcome to my channel where we learn español. Today, I want to talk about two commands with the reflexive pronoun te. Of course, reflexive pronouns come in many forms, but when it's the to form, it's always going to be te. And so since we're doing two commands, te is the only reflexive pronoun you have to remember for right now. So te attaches to the end of the verb if it's a positive command. If it is a negative command, then it has to go before the verb, all right? So you have the verb, it goes before the verb. Um, um, let's see if I can find like an example here. Yeah, like this. So it's levántate, and the te goes, it's attached to the end of the verb. And if it's a negative command, it's no te levantes. And there's the other issue. To say don't do something, you simply say no in Spanish, all right? You have to put the word no there. And so don't is not a word in Spanish. So you say no. Makes it kind of easier, right? And of course, there's a lot of common reflexive verbs. You guys know all these, or you should. You can pause it and write these down if you want, but these are most of the reflexive verbs that we will be going over today. All right. Also, don't forget what we have learned in previous videos. Positive AR verbs will now end in A, and positive ERIR verbs end in E. Whereas if they are negative, AR verbs end in ES, and ERIR verbs end in AS. To form positive commands with the reflexive pronoun que, we do the following. An example is quedarse. Quédate. Remember, it would be queda because it's an AR verb. But the se turns into te. The reflexive pronoun se turns into the reflexive pronoun te because it's the to command, right? So it's quédate. And you have to put the emphasis on the third to last syllable when that extra te is attached. And that's why you have that accent mark there. Quédate. Quédate. All right. So whenever you have an accent mark in Spanish, the reason why the accent mark is there is to show where the emphasis in the pronunciation is, right? Emphasis. And so in that word, you would also have an accent mark. Emphasis. Okay. Quédate. However, if it's negative, it no longer is attached to the end. It goes before. And you have to say no. No te quedes. And so since it's on the second to last syllable, the emphasis, I mean, then there is no accent mark because it's just quedes, quedes. But in this case, it's quédate. And so since it's the third to last syllable, that's unusual. So you have to have the accent mark. No te quedes. Quédate. No te quedes. Practice saying it. Quédate. No te quedes. So come on, guys. Don't be lazy. We have to repeat out loud in order to learn how to speak Spanish, to pronunciate bien. Para pronunciar bien, tenemos que hablar, right? Hablar. Vamos a hablar. Quédate, no te quedes. Preocuparse means to worry. I say, worry, don't worry, okay? Preocúpate, preocúpate, preocúpate. And then this will be, no te preocupes. No te preocupes. No te preocupes. Some people have a hard time pronouncing this word because the E and the O in preocupes are both strong vowels. And so they separate into two distinct syllables, okay? It's it is going to be preocupes, okay? So it's preocupes. And that's how you break that word up into syllables. Preocupes. No te preocupes. Don't worry. No te preocupes. Practice saying it. No te preocupes. No te preocupes. No te preocupes. No te preocupes. Pero me preocupo mucho, but I worry so much. No te preocupes. And then you might say, well, actually, I understand your fear. Preocúpate. Worry. Preocúpate. Worry yourself. Don't worry yourself. No te preocupes. Actually, you know what? You're right. Worry yourself. Preocúpate. Preocúpate mucho. Ya vienen por ti. Preocúpate. Okay. So, casarse means to marry, right? So you say casarse. It's an AR verb and it's reflexive and it's a to command. So it's going to be casate. Casate. That one's easy, right? Get married. Casate. Don't get married. No te cases. No te cases. It's too soon. No te cases. Cásate. Es un buen hombre. Cásate. Yeah, he's a good guy. Marry him. Cásate con él. Right? No te cases con él. Es demasiado pronto. It's too soon. All right. Maquillarse. Maquillarse means to put makeup on one's self, like to make up yourself, to make up, to put on makeup. And so maquillate, put on makeup. Maquillate. Don't put on makeup. No te maquilles, no te maquilles. Eres hermosa sin maquillaje. No necesitas maquillaje, no te maquilles. You don't need makeup, don't put makeup on. No te maquilles. Like, actually, you do need you do need a little bit of makeup. You know, maquillate. All right, I'm just joking. All right. But anyway, or it might be like before the show, like, rápido, maquillate. Ya empieza. The show's starting. Maquillate, rápido. Okay. So callarse means to quiet oneself. Cállate. That one's common, right? You've probably heard it before. Shut up. It means shut up. Cállate. But you don't want to say that. It's rude, right? But maybe you're talking too loud and you say cállate, cállate. And then maybe somebody else overhears and says, that's rude. And then they tell you, no te calles, no te calles. All right? Get mad. Enójate, enójate. Don't get mad. No te enojes. El que se enoja pierde. No te enojes. He that gets mad loses. Don't get mad. No te enojes. Levantarse. Levántate. Get up. Levántate. Don't get up. No te levantes. No te levantes. So these are easy. And it kind of has like a rhythm and a rhyme, right? And so it's quédate, no te quedes, preocúpate, no te preocupes, cásate, no te cases, maquíate, no te maquilles, cállate, no te calles, enójate, no te enojes, levántate, no te levantes. Can you guys make like a conversation out of this? Quédate ahí, no te preocupes, cásate con él, pero no te maquilles y no te enojes, cállate, no te enojes. ¿Sabes qué? Tienes razón. Enójate y no te calles, pero levántate. No, 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 no te levantes. Okay. Now, to commands are super important. You got to know how to use them. So let's continue to more difficult to commands with the reflexive pronoun te, because they're not all going to be regular AR verbs. Every now and then you have reflexive pronouns that are irregular, and they might be boot verbs. I've made videos on irregular verbs and boot verbs, but let's just continue watching this one for now, okay? So sentarse is a boot verb, meaning that this E right here, it turns into an IE. So that's why I have this in parentheses. E turns into IE. And it's referring to this E right here. It's always referring to the vowel that is in the root or the stem of the verb. That's why they call boot verbs stem changing verbs or stem changing boot verbs. And so it'll be siéntate, okay? Siéntate, sit down, siéntate. Or don't sit down. You say, no te sientes. Notice it's an AR verb, so it still has to end in an ES. That part will never change. Siéntate, no te sientes, right? Divertirse is also a boot verb, and it means to have fun or to enjoy yourself. And so you say, diviértete. And so since it's an IR verb, it goes to an E. And since it's reflexive in the to form, it has the te attached to the end. It's a positive command. Diviértete. And it's a boot verb. So the E turns into an IE. Diviértete. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Diviértete. Or you might say, don't have fun. Don't enjoy yourself. No te diviertas. No te diviertas. Don't have fun. No te diviertas. All right. Detenerse. Detenerse means to detain yourself. Detain yourself. Or stop. Well, tener is an irregular verb. And guess what? Detener conjugates the same way as tener. And so it is also irregular. The positive command for tener, which means to have, is ten. Remember from another video, I said, tenlo, have it. Si quieres el dinero, tenlo. If you want the money, have it. It's yours. Tenlo. Okay? Ten. And so this is just detener, so it'll be deten, deten. But it's also reflexive. And so it'll be detente, detente. And since the emphasis on the second to last syllable, it does not need an accent mark. Detente. But remember, tener is irregular in the yo form. It's tengo. And so it would be detengo. Therefore, when it's an irregular negative command, it would be no te detengas, no te detengas, no te detengas. Do not detain yourself. Or in other words, don't stop. No te detengas. No te detengas ahí, siga adelante. Don't detain yourself there. Don't stop there. Keep going. All right. So irse means to go yourself. And here's the thing with ir, which means to go, a lot of times it's used reflexively if the destination is not mentioned. And so you might say, like me voy, it means like I'm going, but it doesn't say where I'm going. And so I might say it reflexively like that, as opposed to voy. If you say voy, it makes it sound like, you're going to go somewhere and you're waiting for that part, like voy a la tienda or something, like I'm going to the store. So it's reflexive and it's also irregular. It's vete. And remember, the yo form is voy, and so the negative form will be no te vayas, no te vayas. These ones, they just have to be remembered individually. Dormirse means to sleep, and the O in dor turns into a UE because it's a boot verb. And so, duermete, duérmete. No te duermas. Notice it ends in an AS, just like all the rest of them that are ER or IR verbs. No te duermas. Don't sleep. Estamos aprendiendo español. No te duermas. We are learning Spanish. Don't sleep. Despertarse means to wake up. Despertarse. Despiértate. Despiértate. Notice it's a boot verb. Despiértate. If you're confused about the boot verb part because it has two E's, if it's a multi-syllable verb, it will always be the E that is closest to the ending. And so despertarse will be despier, and it's despiértate. In this case, for negative, it'll be no te despiertes. And it's an ES because it's a negative command. No te despiertes. Don't wake up. No te despiertes. Es muy temprano. It's very early. No te despiertes. Acostarse means to lay down. And it's also a boot verb, so that O turns into a UE. UE. UE, actually. It'd be UE. So it's acuéstate, acuéstate. Or no te acuestes, no te acuestes, because it's an AR verb, so it ends in an ES. No te acuestes. So remember that if it's a positive to command, the AR goes to an A, and the ER and the IR go to an E. If it's a negative, then the AR goes to an ES, and the ER and the IR go to an AS. Also remember that if it's a positive command, the reflexive pronoun attaches to the end. So the pronoun attaches to the end of the verb in a positive command, whereas the negative commands have the reflexive pronoun going before the verb. They go before. So like levantarse is levantate, and the te is attached to the end. And then if it's negative, no te levantes, no te levantes. Okay? All right, so I hope you have all learned something. I know I have, and we can continue learning el español en los siguientes videos. Hasta ese entonces y nos vemos en el próximo.